Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 163 of the Terminal City FC podcast, part of the Area 51 Sports Network. Josh Ray joined alongside Nathan Durk as per usual, talking all things soccer. Hello to everyone. I'm going to viewing on the Facebook, Area 51 Facebook, Area 51 Twitter, and Terminal City FC YouTube channel. So it's the last episode before the Christmas break, and we got a lot to talk about this week. And we're starting off with the Vancouver Whitecaps with over the past few days, big news dropped. The club is up for sale.
Yeah. If anyone's been following the Whitecaps for even the last 5-6 years, we always knew this was kind of on the back burner a little bit. I mean, even as early as 2018, 2019, there had been...
It was a possibility,
rumors. COVID hit. Nobody really knew what was going on. Valuations were fluctuating all over the place. Owners sat on it. The Whitecaps as a business entity are in a pretty good spot right now. So if you are looking to sell, now's the time to do it.
Yeah, and the ownership group led by Greg Kerfoot said that they felt like it was time because, the owners are getting older, Kerfoot included. And
I think both Kerfoot and Mallet in particular are, I want to say, in their late 60s.
Yeah, it seems that they are. And the statement that came out said that their successors, they need to have bigger resources and better ambition.
And it's an interesting statement. One, it's good to hear that they want to ensure that the club has financial stability going forward. But in hearing someone that they want someone with more resources and more ambition, what was that saying about your ambition?
Yeah, and Axel Schuster, when he was asked about it in his media availability, he said the ownerships were kind of not there in a way.
You take a look at any sort of mugshot of Greg Kerfoot, and it's just a silhouetted black face.
Don't even know what the guy looks like.
Nobody knows what the guy looks like. The guy is notoriously, public adverse. We know about him in name. We know about what he's done for soccer, not only for the Whitecaps, but also the national programs as well. In particular, the women's program.
Yeah.
We were never going to have very, very. I mean, the face of the ownership group was supposed to be Steve Nash, even though he's like the smallest of all the owners. And I don't know, when did that happen? The very last game when he showed up with his brother.
Yeah, I think that was like the first time since 2011 that he actually showed up to a game.
Yeah, exactly right. So, yeah, that's kind of what we got. Again, I'm not surprised. You have the Whitecaps are bringing in top 10 MLS attendances again. They've got a squad that has depth. They've got a squad that is understandable for the resources they have. And I think, as we said, like in terms of wage spending, they're 12th in the league, I think, right now.
Again, that was mainly due to Stuart Armstrong.
Mainly due to Stuart. Well, it makes sense. If you are one DP short compared to the rest of the league, bring in one DP, you shoot up.
Yeah.
And this is a World Cup host city in a World Cup that's coming in, a year and a half?
Yeah, and the sport is growing.
Groundswell will come. So if you're wanting to get out on a high, this is that time.
Yeah, and just looking at the statement here again, they've pretty much said, the future is bright. And Don Garber said, commissioner of MLS, says Vancouver is a world-class city, and it's the club there, soccer history and all that is great. And of course, there's, given the Vancouver sports dread that the club could be moved. Some people, older than myself, have said, they have flashbacks to the NBA and the Vancouver Grizzlies. New ownership group came in, promised that they would keep the team there, moved to Memphis, and have been there ever since. So
that was before my time in Vancouver, but I do remember when that happened.
Yeah, and I don't think it's happening, but it's on the back of my mind that it's a real possibility. But given the statement from Kerfoot and Garber, both MLS and whoever the new ownership will be, like the main priority is to keep the club here in Vancouver, because if the club moves, that would be a devastating loss for sports in the city.
Well, here's the thing: is as far as I know, the Whitecaps as a club are the oldest club in MLS. Early
Around,
1974, right?
yeah, them and the Sounders.
Sounders are right there in the same year, but I believe
Yeah,
they're, we're niggling here, but I think it's a few months, right? And the Whitecaps,
probably, yeah.
yeah. Um, so I mean, that's a big thing for here in terms of the grander scale of MLS. Whitecaps sometimes tend to be a bit of a footnote.
They're kind of like a forgotten club.
They, unfortunately, yeah. Whether that's self-inflicted or not. Here's the thing: is there's a few different scenarios that you can look at as a comparison. One, I look at what they talk about with estate planning, and okay, let's be honest, that's a real thing. They're starting to take a look at what do we want to leave to those once we I don't know, kick the bucket, and do they actually want these business entities that we have running a professional sports franchise? You got to have your heart in it, otherwise you need to
What
get
are you
out.
doing?
And if those in their family that all their assets are going to be left to don't want it, it's time to go. And the example that I think of is I believe it was the Melnicks with the Ottawa Senators, right?
Yeah.
Elder Melnick passed away before he could, and he was trying to get rid of the Senators for a long time. Ended up leaving it to his daughters. Well, his daughters weren't in it. So, I mean, they spent a year trying to handle this club while they were trying to now handle selling it, right?
Right.
That, it's not like you're taking care of the estate of like you and me of like what we'll do like for our parents or whatnot. Their parents, I mean, there's a lot more to it, especially when you think of like all the people that work and are passionate about a sports franchise. That's a lot of people's lives. You're kind of juggling with that as well. So I get, Kerfoot, Mallet, Lucho, Nash not wanting to be a part of that. I get it. The other thing I look at is an owner coming in, buying it, moving the club. It's a very real possibility, but it's not as easy as it sounds. So
yeah,
here's why it's attractive. It's attractive because right now, if everyone's seen the whole Sportico thing that the Whitecaps are valued at about 470 million US. Where that number comes from, what's put into it, we don't really know. It's there. The latest expansion fee for MLS, San Diego, which just had their expansion draft, was at
500 million
500
US,
million, which is more than what the cost of the Whitecaps is. Now, the thing is the Whitecaps don't have a lot of physical assets.
They do not.
No. They have a partial investment into the training facility.
It's a partnership, but they do own a part of it.
Yeah. So there is that, but really, it's not that big thing. You could get bought out of that quite easily. Yeah. So the idea of coming in and moving seems simple, but we have the example of Columbus.
Yeah.
When they had an owner come in and try to move the team back in the day to Austin, and MLS themselves jumped in and said,
that's not happening.
They actually worked with the seller at the time to find a local buyer to keep the club in Columbus. And the reason that the guy was doing it was to bypass the expansion fee. So MLS doesn't like that because MLS is not getting their money that way.
Let's not forget, MLS has pretty much owns all their clubs in a way.
Well, they do. It's franchise, right? It's like owning a Tim Hortons.
Yeah, and moving isn't as easy as it sounds. When's the last time an MLS franchise moved? I can't really think of one. I know.
Good question, actually.
A team dissolved like 10 years ago. That was Chivas USA, but that was a different story.
I remember that, yeah. So, I mean, that's it. Now, the thing is the other thing that does make it a little bit easy is because if you don't have those assets, one of the things, and someone's going to fact check me on this, but from what I could see, the Whitecaps are the only team that I could find that doesn't own their own stadium.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's
or at least that the ownership and a parent company don't own as both kind of together, right?
Yeah, unlike
So if
Seattle.
you come in here as an ownership group and go, look, there's no, we have nowhere to play, right? We can't do it. There's nowhere to build a new stadium. Show me a plot of land that's big enough in Vancouver where I can do this. I don't have a choice. Sorry, guys.
I think that's the stadium is the reason why some people are fearing that
I
the
think
club will
that's the
move,
biggest fear. That's the
and
biggest fear.
especially
And
that
do
the
you know who
lease.
also is really, really, really afraid of this as well? The government of BC, who owns BC Place. That's one of their top 2 tenants.
Yeah,
Right?
and
Now, I don't think they're going to have a problem filling those dates. I mean, we already know that they were filling dates that the Whitecaps were supposed to be playing anyway. So,
yeah, and the Whitecaps lease on BC Place, I believe, is up next year,
yeah. Now, the
and that
thing
also
is,
plays.
that's another really weird thing because I was talking to someone and they said normally these leases, when they're coming due, they're they're taken care of years in advance. The fact
Yeah,
that it's lapsed to this point is kind of nuts,
and it's
right?
is it
So
a
it
year
does make
left?
you feel like there was writing on the wall with that a little bit as well. The statement that Axel Schuster also gave talked about that, they've been talking about this within the club for months, right?
Yeah, four to
This
five
this
months.
was coming, which makes you think, did they already have a few people kicking the tires?
That's what I would think too. They either have a consortium that's already lined up, or B, a bunch of interest.
Because this kind of feels like we want to sell. We have a few people looking. All right, let's go grab Goldman Sachs and now, show up or leave, right?
Yeah, and let's not forget that the sale won't be completed until like the end of next year, and the
This
current
is going to
ownership
take a
will
long
be
time.
around till the end of next year.
And here's another kink into that too. We know that the sale's going to take forever. I mean, you have the lease for another year. They're not going anywhere. Why get rid of Vanni Sartini?
Yeah,
Especially if Axel knew about all this for months, which he said he did. You could have a coach, winningest coach in MLS. Yes, I know you want more. You want more energy, which I'm still trying to figure out what did he
who
mean
has
by
more
that.
energy than Vanni Sartini?
You've got a year on the contract. You could have, if new owners come in, one of the things you could have said, hey, you get to pick your coach.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's one thing. I got to wonder, like one of the things Axel also said is that there is a list of 5 shortlisted for the head coach job, and that they're going to be interviewed. They want to have someone in place by
January.
training.
But
How many of those 5 are going to go, oh, wait, what's going on in Vancouver right now? Do I want to move my family there?
and how are we going to say, oh, the club's being up for sale? Oh,
Exactly, right? Like you got to think that's a bit of whiplash for some of these prospective head coaches.
yeah. They're thinking, oh, it looks like my bosses won't be around for very long.
Yeah.
I don't know who my other bosses will be.
So them being for sale, it's surprising. It's not surprising. There are a lot of moving parts. It's not as well. I mean, selling something that is worth hundreds of millions of dollars is never simple, but it is a convoluted thing. Now we got to get into the whole thing of like, who could buy this?
Of course, people are throwing out Ryan Reynolds, but he already owns Wrexham. But if
here's the thing, do you know how much he paid for Wrexham?
Like $2 million.
It was less than that. It was like 1.5.
Yeah, and the Whitecaps are worth $400 million.
Exactly, right? Now the thing is, it is also not out of the realm of possibility.
It is not.
For about a hiccup, he was a part of a consortium to buy the Senators.
That never materialized.
But in terms of like for like value, it's around that. I don't even know. The Senators might be worth more. They might be worth less. I don't know.
I think they're around.
But they are in the hundreds of millions realm, right? It's also Canadian. It's also Canadian in his, hometown. So again, it's not out of the realm of possibility. Plus, he's got all his rich friends. I mean, he had Will Ferrell show up to his games in Wrexham, and he's a part owner of LAFC. So stranger things have happened.
Yeah, I had Billy Joe Armstrong recently show up to some soccer game.
Oh, did he? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Reynolds would have to be part of a consortium. He wouldn't have to be the majority owner if he was interested in buying the Whitecaps. And you never know.
He did just sell a cell phone company not too long ago, so he's got that money.
Hey, maybe the Wrexham game that happened in July was foreshadowing and we didn't know it. You never know.
I've heard a few people say that. And I was like, yeah, the year before they did Philadelphia. So I think that was just paying back that.
Yes. I can't really think of any other names. I know I've been reading that Amar Doman, who owns the BC Lions, his group is interested.
I've read that too. Here's the thing is Amar Doman, when he bought the BC Lions, was to save the BC Lions back then.
Yep.
This is also a guy that is hugely passionate about CFL.
About
So
football.
he's willing
Like
to
that kind
take
of
that
football.
hit. Whitecaps are a bigger entity,
Yeah,
right?
they
It's
are.
a lot more money. I don't know if his group is big enough.
Again, he would have to be part of a
It would,
consortium as
yeah,
well.
it's exactly it. The other name we've heard is the Aquilinis. Now, the
They were,
Aquilinis have already come out publicly and said we're not interested,
believe
but
it or
that's
not.
not always been the case.
Yep.
They
Believe it
had a
or
rival bid for a team to come into MLS back in 2009 when Kerfoot was adding his other three owners and making the bid when they got in 2009, had their first season in 2011. And then the Aquilines actually tried to buy the Whitecaps from Kerfoot as well. So, I mean,
and
they've
it's
been
possible.
interested before. Also, if you're part of that whole sports and media entertainment group they have, increasing your local footprint,
That would be huge.
it's huge. They've said no. I don't really know if that means anything.
We'll
That could
see.
just be a ploy. Then there's also the flip side. We've heard of all the fan acrimony over the Aquilinis owning the Canucks.
And
Do
the
you want
whole
them with the Whitecaps? I don't
the
know.
blueberry farm thing, where he wasn't giving his workers water. That's also another story.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, and to be fair, Aquilini owning an MLS franchise, I think that would be better for him since he's allowed to meddle and given that playoffs are a whole different, scenario in MLS, he'd be allowed to spend the money on all the stars he wants. Well, minus
Yeah,
the rules.
yeah. I
Um,
don't know. That is a possibility. There are also others as well.
Tom Gagliardi, who owns the Dallas Stars but is Vancouver based. I don't know. I don't know if he'd be interested.
It'd be
Maybe
something.
part of consortium.
Yeah. Uh, there's I've heard also names thrown around about a few sport washing models. People talking about consortiums like what was it? I think it's the PFI out of Saudi Arabia.
Mm-hmm.
That fund. There's the Qatari fund. There's consortiums out of China,
China.
especially us being
Yeah.
West Coast. I mean, there's
China
all
would
that.
be.
I mean, it's gobs and gobs of money, but do you want that baggage?
That's just it. And someone mentioned to me, what if the Whitecaps were part of a multi-club model, like New York Red Bulls are part of Red Bull,
This is
NYCFC are
my
part of
this is my preferred
Citigroup.
model. This is
I
my
would be
preferred
too.
model. You get a European club that's looking to do a big, like a multi-club thing. And yeah, you're exactly right. You talked about NYFC. We also, I mean, we've got a Canadian example as well with
Yep.
Atletico Ottawa and
Atletico
Atletico
Madrid.
Madrid. Get a big club in Europe.
Yeah.
Start getting on the axle, start calling up, your German friends, see what's going on there. I don't think you're going to get Red Bull unless they want East Coast, West Coast, but I
No,
doubt.
they already have New York, so
Yeah.
that was not happening.
The other
I mean,
one I've heard, speaking of the German model, is the whole 50+1.
yep, 50+1. I
It
would.
sounds nice, but I don't think. Who knows? Maybe fans do have deep enough pockets. I don't know. I might be able to find $5 to throw in.
I'm just reading about multi-club models here. There are quite a few. There's the 7-7 partners that own Hertha Berlin, Genoa, Melbourne Victory, Pacific
There's a
Media
lot.
Group that own a bunch of smaller teams in Europe, including AS Nancy in France. Blitzer, owned by John Texter, that owns Lyon and Crystal Palace. That's a big one.
Yeah.
John and David Blitzer. I think they're brothers. My dream, my crazy idea is Blueco, owned by Todd Bowley and Bedad Bali.
Oh, yeah.
Own Chelsea and Strasbourg.
I'm not going to throw an ENIC into that. We'll get into that later about
I
what
don't.
those fans
They've
think
been
of that.
quiet about for past few months about expanding Blue Coat, but they've said in the past like, yeah, we want to build this thing into like a world multi-club model. I know
Yeah.
they were looking at like clubs in Portugal and Brazil. I don't know if Boli and Igbali would be interested in owning an MLS club.
The other
So,
thing that we also have to consider with this as well, and it's the thing you have to consider anytime you're talking about a Canadian club in an American league, is the dollar.
yeah,
Now, don't worry. I mean, in terms of payment, I mean, it's all in American funds anyway, right? The players are paid in American funds as well. What we have to think about is the taxes, and the taxes here are significantly more
way higher.
than in the States. And if you're going to, buy a huge business here, I mean, that's something that business owners will be thinking of.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't really think of any other Canadian or Vancouver based. They also have
The only other name I saw thrown around, and I think as soon as it got thrown around, it got thrown back, was Chip. What's
nope,
his
no.
name?
Chip Wilson, the
Yeah,
Lululemon guy. Nope, nope.
yeah, yeah. I think you're going to see them Lululemon get into building kits, right?
Yeah, no. For many different reasons.
Yeah, for many different reasons. I don't think anyone wants that. Anyway, like I think it's like I said, this is not going to end overnight. This is going to be something that's going to drag out for quite a while. I think the ideal scenario is they figure something out by the summer,
Yeah,
because the closer it gets to the end of the year, the scarier that lease deal with BC Place gets, because
yeah.
they're going to want someone in there for the next year. And
Especially since the World Cup,
and
2026.
especially since this is a deal that normally would have been done a year ago or 2 years ago.
Yeah,
So there is that. Now, the one thing that was popped up a little bit, and what we can put to bed, was like, okay, well, what about Vancouver Rise, right? Brand new team. Kerfoot is the majority owner of that. They're two
they're a separate
completely
entity.
separate things.
Yeah,
Completely
sources have
separate
confirmed
things.
to both of us. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So that has been confirmed. So the sale of one does not mean anything for the other.
No, yeah. Thankfully, since Vancouver Rise will be getting underway next year, more on them later.
The other thing that and I've heard of is, and the one that could be dangerous is, if for some reason, the worst case scenario, the team gets bought, the team gets moved, is what happens
Yeah,
to League One BC.
Ben Steiner pointed out that it could fold if the Whitecaps
The
move.
thing is League One BC almost folded last year. You've
Yeah,
got basically two teams propping it up, and one of them is the Whitecaps.
pretty
The other
much. The
one's
Whitecaps pretty
TSS.
much run that thing.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of money that they pumped into that, just not just to their individual team, but into like running the league to get the league up there. So that's a very real possibility as well.
Yeah, and
It goes a lot bigger than just the one team.
yeah, it's just I know fans have been cynical about this ownership group since they came into MLS,
Yeah.
especially since the club has, yeah, there's 3 Canadian championships before actually, but not a lot of playoff success, not a lot of regular season success. I don't know, maybe whoever the new ownership group will bring some hope,
The
some
thing
more
is,
hope to
is
the Whitecaps.
you got to look at the comparisons. The Whitecaps are not Man City, Arsenal, Chelsea. The
No,
Whitecaps are Brentford, if they're lucky, right? The Whitecaps
no,
are Crystal Palace,
Palace, and if
right?
maybe and they want to be Brighton, let's just say,
Yeah. Or they want to be Aston Villa, right?
yeah,
A team with history, and that they want to do really well and punch above their weight, but they're not there. And here's the thing: is this could end up, and I'm not saying it is, but this could end up being a case of beware what you demand,
be careful what you wish for,
right?
right?
So here's hoping it doesn't come to that.
Yeah, and we'll see where this goes over the next few months, and if any names of potential buyers start popping up. This is going to be a very interesting story to follow.
There is only other one scenario that I thought of. They stop it. They put out conditions of what we want. Now, at the end of the day, whoever buys it gets to do whatever they want. Like you can't say, "Oh, you're buying it, but you have to stay here." Well, buyer's not going to do that. So the other thing is we've put out all these conditions. We've looked. We didn't find anyone that met them all. We're going to hold on to it for a bit.
Very
Which
possible.
then means same as before, but you've got this precarious position of, well, we know they still want to get rid of it. So what's going to happen?
Yeah.
There is that this can prolong even longer with
Yeah.
the same ownership group.
But since Axel literally came out and said, "Oh, this has been known for 4 to 5 months," I assume things are moving.
Things are moving, but the thing is
Very-
like we said, is we know that this has been a 5-6 year thing, right? They've been wanting to find someone for a while.
Yeah.
If it was about money, it would have been sold back then. It would have just been gone. So you have to think it is more than just the money, especially when
It's
you
more
think of
than money.
Kerfoot, who's been involved with this club since
Since like 2002.
right?
Yeah.
Like his heart is in it. I think he understands that, those that he might be
the guy's heart
isn't.
has always been in. Let's.
Oh yeah, like the
Be
amount
real
of
here.
like
Say
he's
what you want about
donated money anonymously for training camps. They're subsidizing Jesse Marsh's salary along with the other clubs.
Yeah. Also, that what happens to his salary if.
Well, I have a feeling that his salary is a contract. That's not changing.
Yeah.
When his contract is up, there's that. But
Yeah.
that's Kevin.
And then
Williams.
hopefully, yeah, Canada soccer will have a bit more funds in the bank after the World Cup.
Yeah, there's that too. Hey, I guess they got to win a few matches.
Yeah. Anyway, the Whitecaps once again up for sale. It's going to be very interesting to see, interesting to follow this story, and I'm very intrigued to see who the new ownership group will be. Maybe that ownership group won't be as quiet and will be more active, as what Axel said.
Whether that's a good or bad thing, we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. We shall see. So, back to the actual stuff on the pitch. I'm going to share the screen here. The Canadian Championship draw happened a few days ago, and here it is. Obviously, the Whitecaps being the winners of last 3 years have a bye, and we got some good matchups.
Yeah, absolutely. Some surprising ones too, or at least one surprising one.
Toronto and Montreal meeting in the preliminary round.
I know. I got to say, I really love it. I think it opens the doors for a whole bunch of, unique things, and for teams that maybe we wouldn't necessarily make it to, say, the semifinals now have an interesting run. I think it's really cool. I don't know if I feel the same way if I was a CF Montreal or a Toronto fan.
I wouldn't, but
no.
I think it's really cool. You can give CPL clubs and these other clubs some leeway.
In terms of the makeup of the club, the only difference is the inclusion of League One Alberta now, and we can see that with Edmonton Scottish. That's now a part of the group, something that hadn't been before.
Yeah, and hey, we get a Battle of Alberta, so they play Cavalry.
Yeah, which is great.
We also get a Battle of BC.
Pacific and Vancouver, which would be a good one. Vancouver is the Whitecaps are going to play the winner of Valor and TSS Rovers.
I am crossing my fingers for TSS. Imagine an away day at Swangard.
I know.
That would be amazing.
I'm thinking that too. I think that would be fantastic. It's funny. It's like you would actually have to have ticket allocation for like the first time ever in this competition, right?
Yeah. We got Atletico Ottawa and Scrosopi FC. This is a Battle of Ontario.
Yeah,
Ontario.
I can't pronounce the name either, but they are always a team that's punching up into this competition.
Hey, York and Laval, legal in Quebec team, and we also have Forge and Halifax Wanderers. When those two play, it's usually an entertaining game.
Yeah, I mean, history tells you Forge, but when it's a single game knockouts, 90 minutes can be a different story.
Oh, and we got 2 legs again: May, July, the quarterfinals; August, September, semifinals, and the final will be even later this year in October.
Yeah, don't get me started on this whole
don't even
schedule thing.
I really hope the 2 legs aren't like a month apart in the semifinals again.
And again, I think we have a final. I don't think it's written here, but I think the final is going to be on a Wednesday again.
I mean, they usually are.
They weren't
given.
back
Yeah,
before.
back in the day they weren't.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is we had this kind of format, like when we had all the League One teams in here
Yeah,
in 2022, I believe it was,
yeah,
and they had their final on
in
June
July.
7th.
It's like July, June. Yeah,
Yeah, June. So they can get this and compact it. They've done it before.
yeah. I
And the
don't
thing
understand.
is you remember it, it's fresh in your mind, and you get that build up. With the way it is now, you're like, you just don't care.
Yeah, maybe it's because the Whitecaps won the last three, been there, won that, but the
You
fact that it's
remember the
so late
stories of
into the
last
season.
year when Vancouver won the final, and Kevin Blue was in the audience. He was furious at the attendance. I was like, well, you're Canada Soccer. You did this
Maybe
to yourself.
maybe this game should have been in the summer when it was nice and warm. Remember 2022,
Or
24K
or when
in the
people
building?
actually remember what happened preceding it.
Yeah, because remember the two legs between Pacific were like a month apart,
It's a lifetime
more than
apart.
that.
Yeah.
And yeah, as I said, 2022 was the best example. Whitecaps TFC, believe it was like June, July. It's hot outside.
I want to say it was June 7th.
Yeah,
I
something
think
like
I
that.
think I think I looked it up. Yeah.
And then, yeah, I mean, it goes to show that
Get it done.
make people care by saying it right.
Yeah. All right, we
So,
got another Vancouver team to talk about.
yeah, Vancouver Rise have signed their first three players of their club history, and they're going to be announcing two more over the next few days.
Yeah.
So, the first one, Shannon Waller, former Canadian international, is their first ever player, and you attended her press conference.
Yeah, got to meet her and talk to her. Defender that really prides herself on her positioning. I thought it was
Yep.
an interesting signing. It's not Canadian international, but she hasn't played for the international team, I think, since I want to say 2019 when she
She's
was last called
34.
up.
Yeah. She's one of
Yeah.
the older.
Has a very expansive career. Has played all throughout the Scandinavian countries, also played in Germany and Spain. Most recently was in Sweden, and is now coming back to do this. She's local, from Vancouver.
Played for the
Uh,
Whitecaps in the USL
Played for the
W League
Whitecaps,
days.
yeah, in the back old USL, 2008 to 2012, I believe.
Yep. Yeah, she's
Was
well traveled.
involved, was a part of the whole, Barada and those days, unfortunately. So,
Yeah,
uh,
and she's also played for the Sounders apparently, just for like 1 year.
for a little bit after the Whitecaps folded
Yeah,
their
and then she
women's team.
spent some time in Scandinavia mostly. Like she's
Yeah,
played for a
yeah.
bunch of teams in Sweden, which I
The one
can't
thing I
count.
thought that was interesting is, and this was a question that was brought up by Gemma Carson Smith of the Canadian Press, was that oftentimes a team's first signing is a statement of what kind of team that they're going to be. Vancouver Rise, their very first signing is, a hard-nosed, strong defender. The very first signing for the Whitecaps, Jada Merritt,
Was
in
a
the
hard-nosed,
MLS
strong
draft,
defender.
hard-nosed, strong defender. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, and hey, at least Demerit is one of the best Whitecaps in their MLS era.
Definitely
So
a guy that, Achilles aside, that kind of
yeah,
derailed his career in the last year. Yeah, a lot of good memories of him when he was.
maybe Waller will make good memories with the Vancouver Rise, and
Absolutely.
their second player is a familiar name. One they didn't have to go too far from Jessica De Filippo, who was part of the Whitecaps girls elite team and played a bunch of games in the CONCACAF Women's Champions Cup. Scored 2 goals in the League One Canada Interprovincial Championship semifinal over Calgary, and has she's Canadian as well, but she has spent some time overseas in Europe with Sporting de Helfa in Spain and in Germany with FFC Turbine Potsdam.
Young player, 23 years old, forward. So, yeah, and again, understands, knows Vancouver, has played for the Whitecaps, now joining the Rise. And this is something I think we can expect to see a lot of, is a lot of signings. We have already been told that this is going to be a young squad, because we're going to see a lot of the players that come from the elite girls academy team sign up. But not, we will get some internationals as well. And actually with our third signing, even though our third signing did play with the League One team most recently, she is a Welsh international, just announced today, Josie Longhurst, midfielder.
Yep, 22 years old. She was most recently with Reading, and has also spent time with Brighton, Cardiff, and Lewis.
Yeah, she actually joined the BC women, or the women's Whitecaps team, the academy, in July. So yeah, so she did play 10 times with them, I think.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
So there's some familiarity there, but she's also a Welsh international.
Yeah, she's been capped by the national team.
Midfielders. So we got So Rise has a forward, a midfielder, and a defender for
they built the spine.
So that's the spine. And these players have experience, even though the last two are quite young. They have professional experience.
Oh, for a number of years too. So yeah, two more were expected this year. One thing is, in talking with Sinead King, still no question about a stadium yet.
Yep.
Swan Guard's name being thrown out time and time again. It's just a matter of whether or not they feel they can handle another tenant, because that's the home of TSS Rovers.
Yeah, and all the other League One BC and other local sports.
Yeah.
So that's Vancouver Rise. Two more players to be announced this week. For back to MLS, the re-entry draft stage 2 and the super draft are on Friday, for those who forgot.
Yep.
And there's been reportedly, it's not official, but some Leagues Cup changes to Leagues Cup are reportedly happening. Instead of like a mid-season break, which we've seen the last 2 years, there'll be midweek games, kind of like a proper cup competition, but not every team will participate in Leagues Cup.
It's, again, I have never made it a secret what I think about this tournament as a whole.
If you listen to this show, you know how our feelings about Leagues Cup
it should be scrapped, but this is a step in the right direction. Get rid of the break, do the midweek games. Yes. So I hope they're learning their lessons. The one, from what I've seen though so far, is the one group that's not happy about this is the Mexican clubs.
Yeah, that's what I've been reading too.
And again, it makes sense because they usually have the furthest to travel.
Yeah,
along with Canadian clubs as well, but there's more Mexican clubs than Canadian clubs in this.
Yeah, and the Apertura begins around that same time, because their schedule is quite different.
Yeah.
So that's something at least. We don't know which teams will be participating in Leagues Cup next year or not. I don't know. Maybe they should determine by seeding from last year.
Not sure. Who knows? Who knows? I know Don Garber said that he wanted clubs to be in as many competitions as possible. They're also throwing the U.S. Open Cup as part of that. They're saying they want more teams in that as well. Have to wait and see what happens with that, or if we're going to see more MLS Next Pro teams.
Yeah, and it's a lot better than the mid-season break where the league just shuts down or stops.
That never made any sense.
And like the Whitecaps last year had like 2-3 weeks off and just never really were the same until the playoffs.
No, we thought it was going to be a good thing because a little niggling injuries are going to get time to get healed, but no, that momentum they had. I mean, they lost the last game before,
but they won
what, like six before that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a punch.
Yeah, and at least I don't know. Like if the Whitecaps don't participate in Leagues Cup next year, I'm not going to be upset.
Wouldn't bat an eye.
I would be like, all right, cool.
You got MLS, you got Canadian Championship, you've got CONCACAF Champions Cup.
Yep.
You're good.
I'm good with those three competitions.
You do those three. You've got as many competitions as the top teams in Spain.
Yeah, and It's been reported that there's too much football for footballers around the world already.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
not
yeah.
participating
Everyone
in
knows Rodri's comments on that, right? When he was talking about that football just had
Yeah, I
enough.
wrote an
We're about to
article
die.
about the Club World Cup and like yeah, injuries have skyrocketed over the past year.
Yeah,
So speaking of Europe, let's go over.
go ahead.
Chelsea are still rolling. Let's start with the Europa Conference League. Chelsea going to Kazakhstan, home of Borat, and job done over SC Astana. And props to the traveling fans who made the trek all the way there. And apparently Chelsea have a good following over there too. So
Global club, right?
Yeah, Mark Guiu scores twice. The 18-year-old Spanish striker. First one was just a well taken solo goal, and Renato Vega also scored two. Mr. Versatile. So 3-1 win over FC Astana in the cold, but I guess that not really isn't nothing compared to Northern Canada prairies or whatnot. I'll see
Yeah.
Chelsea play a game in Edmonton at the Commonwealth Stadium.
Yeah, let's do a Commonwealth Stadium in February.
Yeah, but then over the weekend, 2-1 win over Brentford. First half was just domination, winning the ball, great build up, everything was clicking. Only one goal though. Of all people, Mark Cucurella gets his first Chelsea goal off Nani Madueke's cross. Cucurella uses his sideshow bob hair to get the ball past the Brentford goalkeeper,
Do you know why?
and
He was wearing the right boots.
exactly, and he wasn't slipping. And he when he scored, he did like a penguin celebration. Kind of like a tongue in cheek for all the people making fun of him slipping. Like, hey, I'm not
Oh,
slipping
okay. Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah, okay. Well done.
Yeah, and I mean the guy has a sense of humor,
Yeah.
so it's not like he's taking those comments seriously.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the way the build up and everything looked, it was just Maresca ball at its finest. But then the second half was more the same. Some nervy moments though, because Brentford were starting to turn on and go on the counter. Nicholas Jackson missed an open goal. It's like one of the worst misses you'll see all season. But then he made up for it later in the game. Caicedo steals the ball. Enzo Fernandez just finds Jackson running, and he scores. Hey, you can't keep the guy quiet for long, and this is a guy that always loves to prove people wrong. And that was Jackson's ninth goal of the season, I believe, in the Premier League. So he's making progress, and right now he is probably the most informed striker in the Premier League, despite his weird misses. Like that miss was, I couldn't believe it. Like he had a wide open cage.
I guess if you take enough shots, it's going to work, right?
Yeah, and then he scores on a breakaway. But then Brentford, like Chelsea, fall asleep in stoppage time. Mbembo, who, oh by the way, is one of the goal leaders in the Premier League, turns on the Jets and beats Robert Sanchez. So
Mbembo's in fourth. He's tied for fourth with Chris Wood.
yeah, of all people, Chris Wood,
Yeah, right.
Mr. Journeyman.
New Zealand's finest.
Yeah, and Chelsea ended up getting a 2-1 win. Overall, pretty good performance. Maybe it could have been more. Maybe the defending could have been better later, but just another day at the office. Marco Cucurella got a yellow late for, even though he won the ball, but he did get the guy's shin, even though he won the ball first. And then he gets the second yellow after the game for, it was barely even a shove on the Brentford player. I forgot who it was. So it was very soft. So Mark Cucurella will miss the game against Everton this weekend. And yeah, just Enzo Fernandez is like another assist, another goal contribution since you know what happened. Uh, this guy just turned it up. Moises Caicedo, he said after the game, like, yeah, I look up to N'Golo Kante. He's my idol. And I
Got to
told
look up.
y'all, he is the successor to N'Golo Kante, and he is showing it because Caicedo just winning every ball back, making these great passes. Right now, one of the best midfielders in the world. I don't care what anyone says.
N'Golo Kante is just one of those. He's just good human. right?
Caicedo has more or less the same attitude.
That's good. That's
I
nice.
mean, Caicedo barely speaks English anyway, but still.
Yeah.
But yeah, just overall, every job well done. Um, Big props to Nani Madueke for the assist. Despite in the first half where he was trying to do everything himself, need to see more of those crosses because he can really cross a ball. And um, just a really good performance. 2 points behind Liverpool, still not in the title race. Not in the title race. Sure, they can go up top for a few hours if they beat Everton this weekend, but Chelsea are still not in the title race. Just take it one game at a time. 3 points is the goal every week, and take it day by day, slowly step by step, and goes to show that big misses like Jackson's that can't happen to a team in the title race.
Yeah.
That bad defending on the Brentford goal that can't happen to a team in the title race. And Thierry Henry made a good point on CBS, I believe. He said Chelsea haven't beat the big teams yet, like Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal. Drew Arsenal, lost to Man City and Liverpool. So until Chelsea can beat one of those teams,
Man City is not a difficult team to beat. We've done it
right now,
twice already. Come on.
right now. I can't wait for Chelsea to play Man City whenever that'll be.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think they face one of those clubs until like the spring.
Really?
So,
Kind
or,
of makes you think the run into the end is going to be pretty difficult.
yeah, because Chelsea have a very favorable run until like February.
Okay.
Because I don't. Let me just see here. I don't think they face a Big Six side. Yeah. I mean, there's Brighton, Aston Villa in February.
Those are two good clubs right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, until March when they face Arsenal away. March 15th.
That is far.
Yeah, and I don't face Man City until like, oh my god. Oh wow, they don't face Liverpool till May, and Man United, which is crazy. I mean, yeah, it's Man United, but still.
Yeah.
I don't face Man City till January 25th. Never mind.
Okay. That's
That's
coming up.
Yeah. So, not in the title race. Just taking it day by day, and there's still things that Chelsea need to be in the title race. This is just a pre-goal to next year. Next year is the real year challenge for the title. So until Chelsea, like if Chelsea are still in this position come April, May, maybe then title race we'll talk. So Shamrock Rovers in the Conference League at Stamford Bridge tomorrow. Team from Ireland, obviously, and then Everton at Goodison on Sunday. And that's a bogey place for Chelsea because they've only had like one win in the last 7 years at Goodison.
Really?
I don't know why. It's just one of those grounds where they just can't win at. Same with like Old Trafford too. Goodison is just a bogey ground.
Hmm.
So we'll see if Cole Palmer and the gang can end that curse. So Cole Palmer was kind of quiet against Brentford. So he had like 4 shot attempts that were blocked. So that's something.
Yeah.
One last thing for Chelsea. Mykhailo Mudryk apparently tested positive for a PED called melodonium, which was found after he was with international duty with Ukraine in November. So I don't really like know why he would take this kind of stuff. He's got the talent. It's not going to make his football IQ better. And it's not like he's been playing much anyway, at least in the league. He mostly plays in the Conference League and in the cup competitions. Oh, the club actually came out with a statement on Madrid yesterday. Yeah, they contacted him and they won't comment further. Barely basically says nothing.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, most recently, I think the biggest high-profile example you can think of where a player got penalized would be Paul Pogba.
Yeah, and his ban is over now.
It's over in January.
Or January.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it seems like Mudryk will face some kind of ban too. Don't know how long.
Heard it can be up to 4 years.
Yeah, well, well, there's a lot of hopes for this player, and I mean, he's kind of ruining his career by doing this.
Yeah,
Maresca obviously says they believe Modric is innocent, but of course, what else is he supposed to say?
it's what you expect. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see where this story goes. So Tottenham, for once, didn't capitulate against a bottom side and got Southampton's manager sacked in the process.
Well, before we get to that, we have
Yeah,
to talk
before we
about
get to that,
Europa League and Rangers. And I got to say, watching this game, I've seen some loud games. I don't know if I realized just how loud Ibrox is.
it's
That
loud.
was
I mean,
nuts.
Scottish football crowds are just loud.
And for about 45 minutes, Tottenham forgot to show up. It was horrible. Timo Werner, who had the start, I mean, I get that this guy's confidence is shot right now, but that was one of the worst performances I have seen in a long time. He ended up getting yanked at 45. Postecoglou took him out publicly. Had quite a few things to say. I don't necessarily agree that's the best thing to. I mean, some players will respond to that. Some players, that if you need to say something and get them to hear it, doing it publicly is the way to do it. I don't think Timo Werner is that guy. I think this is a guy that you need to have an arm around the shoulder, take him to the side, and basically a compliment sandwich, right? You got to say something good, say what you really want to say, and then say something good, right? Otherwise, he's not going to hear it. I don't think this was the way to do it, which is too bad. And I mean, I get it. Postecoglou said, I don't have time for players' egos or to massage anyone's feelings. I think Timo Werner is the guy you would have needed to do that.
Yeah,
Kulusevski comes in, Kulusevski scores, Kulusevski saves a point in a point they absolutely did not deserve. So right now, you take a look at Europa League. Top 8 teams automatically make it into what was the round of 16.
Yeah.
You've got the next teams from 9 to 24 that have to play knockouts. Tottenham is sitting in 9th right now. They're technically tied for 8th with Rangers, but after 6 games, they're not quite in that top 8 yet. So they've got some work to do. And you got to remember that when odds came out, Tottenham was number 1 for odds to win this thing. So they've got to pick it up because that wasn't the greatest right now. But then we get to Southampton.
Yeah. And well,
first off,
great first half, by the way. Second half,
this is why you play Maddison.
Exactly.
Maddison's been in and out of the team. He hasn't really gotten his starts. This is why you play him. You got to find a way to put Maddison and Kulusevski on the pitch together. I get it. Both those players want to be in that center attacking spot. Kulusevski has the ability to play wide. Maddison is the guy that you kind of have to put in the center because that's what Maddison does. 1 minute into the game. 30, okay, no, not 1 minute. It was, I think, 37 seconds into the game. And another guy who got a rare start, actually his first start, Jed Spence.
Oh, yeah.
This guy had a game. If this was his audition to try and get more game time, this was it. Beautiful assist on this goal. I think he had another one later on, but very, very dangerous on that right-hand side. Udogie as well on the left, like he was just having a game for himself. Son's goal in the 12th minute, say what you will. I don't. It was kind of a bit of a funny goal. I don't know what
terrible defending from
It was absolutely horrible. And then in the 25th minute, Papa Matisar, Udogie. Again, I was just talking about Spence on the right, Udogie on the left started this, putting the ball up to Son. Son puts it in, and Sarr kind of like just dribbles through everyone inside the 18-yard box to get space. This is a midfielder doing this. So it was great. Now, the funny thing, it was 25 minutes in, fans were already leaving the stadium, like in droves, right? Because
Yeah, and
it was a one-sided slaughter.
I saw even a Southampton fan that was blind just left the stadium.
Yeah.
He doesn't see, but he's seen enough.
Now, here's the thing: is there was, I think, 4 or 5 minutes put on the clock at half for stoppage time.
Yeah.
Russell Martin, manager for Southampton, leaves at the 3rd minute of stoppage time. He just goes down the tunnel. He's done. Spurs score again 1 minute later. Madison, who gets his brace. Again, Son and Udogie were involved with that as well. But you got to think, I understand the manager being angry, but to leave your bench and then have the team score on you again is such a horrible look.
Yeah, and it's
such a horrible look.
Well, that turned out to be the end of him.
Yeah.
End of Russell.
And yeah, so I mean, the second half kind of piddled out. I don't think Tottenham had a shot in the second half until like the 78th minute or something like that. Dorrington comes on for his debut on the side, which was really nice to see. A guy that I rate pretty highly, wanted to see. And yeah, Martin was fired immediately after the game.
Like right after the game.
Like right after. I don't even know if he made it into the tunnel. He was gone.
Well, he did do a press conference, but I think right after that he was fired.
Yeah. This moves Tottenham up to 10th. Like it's been a tough road, and it's so weird to see them in 10th because Liverpool and Chelsea have a plus 18 goal difference.
Yep.
Tottenham has a plus 17 goal difference. They're only one behind them, but they're sitting in 10th. So it's really
you're right.
It just shows you the disparity of Tottenham games. They're either the most brilliant team in the world, or they're struggling against Ipswich, right?
Yeah, most bipolar club in the world.
It defies reality at times. Now the thing is they're only 5 points back of Nottingham Forest for that top 4 spot, right? It's still a race. It's still a race, but Tottenham needs to figure themselves out. They need to figure out what they're going to do in January. Goalkeeper has got to be a look. And the thing is, it's a weird position because you're not looking for a starter. You're looking for a backup that is going to play.
A capable backup, yeah.
A capable backup. And don't get me wrong, Forster has actually been decent.
Yeah.
You got to take a look. And a lot of these games that they've lost, you can't really blame Forster. It's been a team effort in loss. And Forster, had the clean sheet in this game again. And, Southampton didn't really test him, but there were moments. 2 in particular that I can think of. In terms of schedule going on, tomorrow we've got the quarterfinal of League's Cup. That's going to be against Manchester United. And then on the weekend, on Sunday, Liverpool.
Oh, yeah.
2 big games. And the Liverpool...
Do Chelsea a favor, please.
Yeah. Well, the Liverpool one in particular is going to be interesting because there's a fan protest planned for that day against the owners, ENIC. Again, a laundry list of reasons that they've put forward. But yeah, there's going to be some action in the stands on the 22nd. I have to wait and see on exactly what that is going to be. Other than that, the appeal that the club had against Roberto Bentancur's league suspension has been denied. Now, with the suspension, they weren't appealing the ruling. They had accepted the ruling. They were appealing the number of games, which was 7 games. I think they thought it was too harsh. Interesting enough, was it Kick It Out or one of the organizations that deals with fan racism and things like that said they had more people complain about the fact that Tottenham was appealing the decision than they had about the original act.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to make of that.
Me neither.
But it was kind of an interesting one. Not an easy road for Tottenham heading towards the end of the season. So like I said, Man United League's Cup tomorrow, Liverpool, and then the big Boxing Day match is Nottingham Forest
Yep.
and how they've been flying, and then they end of the year on December 29th with Wolves. And
Who
because things
yeah,
are
more on
doing
that
really,
later.
really bad, I'm very, very scared for Tottenham
Yeah, given their history.
because that is this team.
Yep. Um.
The other one thing that was interesting, we were talking about how much Madison needs to play. He's now the team's top goal scorer in the Premier League. He's
Huh.
got
Maybe
7
you should
goals. He's
play him
actually
more.
tied for ninth in the league.
I don't know. Play him more.
So, you know, Madison and Johnson, you know, two guys that have been kind of maligned in the club, and they're number one and number two for scoring.
Interesting. And sticking with the Premier League here, us player really needs a fresh start. Like he really needs to leave his club. Marcus Rashford has publicly said he's ready for a change, and
Yeah.
the transfer rumors for him are ramping up.
Swirling. This is a player that off and on, not really serious, but he has been attached to Spurs in the past. I don't know what to think about that. I also don't think he's a player makeup they need right now. They need to look at the bottom half of the pitch. So I don't
Yeah,
see Tottenham making this move right
I'm
now.
not sure where Rashford would go.
I don't know.
Really.
I don't. There's going to be teams interested. It's whether or not he's going to be interested in those teams.
Yeah, but he is open for a change, and maybe it won't happen in January. Maybe in the summer.
This is a big one. I mean, yes, you can talk about he's been in and out with Man United and whatnot, but he's kind of been the poster kid for
Oh, he,
Manchester United for the last number of years. This is an academy player they had big, big hopes for.
I
And
remember when he
I feel that Rashford
debuted.
is also a bit of a victim of the time of Manchester United. He came up through the system in an era when Manchester United in general is in turmoil.
Yeah, and yeah, he's been with United, the senior team, since 2015. I remember when he made his debut,
Yeah.
and yeah, he's been the face of this era
Yeah,
of Man United, and unfortunately took a
for
lot of
better or
slack
worse. Yeah.
from the fans and the media.
For better or worse, he has been the face, and he's had to take a lot of the brunt of things about Manchester United that have nothing to do with him.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a very up and down career. Like,
Yeah.
remember, like 2 seasons ago, he looked like a world beater, like 17 goals in the league.
Yeah.
But in the last 2 years, he's just really fallen off a cliff.
Well, he's a player you've got to surround with other good players.
Yeah, pretty
Now,
much.
what does that say? I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens with Marcus Rashford. The FIFA Best Awards have been out. Vinicius Jr. named FIFA Best Male Player, and Alyssa Bonmati named the FIFA Best Female Player.
No surprises. I mean, Bon
Yeah,
Matty
no,
is what? She's won that, it feels like 10 years in a row now.
I mean she's like arguably the best women's player in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that argument has been put to bed.
Yeah.
Vinicius Jr., again, he is a deserving player. So good on him. Oh, and then also they had best goalkeeper I saw was Austin Villa's goalkeeper,
Yeah.
which is his
Emiliano
second in
Martinez.
the past 3 years.
Yeah, and speaking of 2022, today is the 2-year anniversary of that World Cup final.
It
by the way.
is actually, of Messi finally getting his FIFA donation.
Yeah.
Russell Martin was not the only Premier League manager that was sacked. This guy kind of buried, but Gary O'Neill was sacked by Wolves, and Victor Pereira was brought in, who had most recently been in the Saudi Pro League.
Yeah. I mean, Wolves have been absolutely terrible this year.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of it, because Wolves have always seemed to be like this team that sticks around, like bottom half of the table, but you know what? They do cause problems. They've caused problems to Tottenham in particular in the past. But yeah, they right now they feel the team that is just adrift.
Yeah, I mean, Pedro Neto was a huge loss, but
It was a
never
huge
really
loss.
found a replacement for him. And
Nope.
yeah, they just look so disjointed, and they can't score, they can't defend. It's just wild to see them on the brink of relegation, because not too long ago this team was like 10th, 11th. in the
Yeah,
Premier League?
yeah.
Top 10?
They've never really fought for like those top European spots, like the seventh or whatnot. But yeah, I mean, they were definitely like, you know, part of the furniture of the Premier League, right?
Yeah, and I've read somewhere that they've conceded 7 goals the final 20 minutes of matches this year.
Yikes.
Yeah, so this team just falls apart
Yeah.
late in games.
This is kind of an odd one. We had the draw for the 2026 the World Cup qualifiers, the different groups and all that, and the map of the world that FIFA showed in the broadcast showed Crimea as part of
It's part
Russia.
of Russia.
Russia controlled right now. It's an illegal occupation. Obviously,
Been controlled
Ukraine has been very up in
2014,
arms
yeah.
of this, and FIFA has actually been forced to put out an apology.
Yeah. I don't
I
know what
mean,
to make.
I think, to this day, Russia's still not even competing in the World Cup. They're still banned from it because
Yeah,
of
which is
their
weird.
act. So
That
yeah,
this whole
to
thing
make
comes out.
this is just, I don't know. It's one of the. It's so easy not to make this mistake.
But it was made anyway because,
I know, right? Because I don't know, someone didn't understand geography, I guess.
Yeah, and someone didn't know world events of the last 10 years.
Also, I thought I saw somewhere the European qualifying groups has Kosovo and Serbia drawn together, or it was like Albania and Serbia drawn
Albania
together,
and Serbia. So that's
which
going
I
to be.
didn't think was possible. I thought that was like one of those rules that we cannot draw these.
Oh, those games are. That game is just going to be.
I'll tell you right now, it's going to be done in the stadium with no fans.
Yeah, and I
It
believe
has to.
England. Yeah, I believe England is in that group too.
Yeah, so there we go. Manchester Derby.
What a derby this was! Like City go up 1-0.
What the last 2 minutes of this derby was.
Oh yeah, Bruno Fernandes scores penalty. Didn't do a stutter step this time, thankfully.
Yeah.
And then man of the match, Ahmad Diallo. I mean, look at that pass from Lisandro Martinez, and he just blew by the Man City defenders. Don't know what they were doing. And then Man United beating their city rivals away at the Etihad. And Manchester City's bad form continues. This is still the worst stretch of Pep's career. Man City are in fifth. How many games have they lost in the last? 3 losses in their last 5 in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Also lost.
But I mean, this whole pattern's gone on. This whole pattern has gone on since Tottenham took them out of League's Cup.
Yep.
In the last round. What was that? Back in October?
Yeah.
I don't. Losing Rodri is huge.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was going to be this huge, but it is.
I mean, the players are not in form.
No.
Also,
even I mean, I know Holland is tied for scoring with Salah in the Premier League, but even he looks like a shadow of himself.
Yeah, I mean, De Bruyne looks like, I feel like age is starting to catch up to De Bruyne too.
There's posters around Manchester City going wanted Phil Foden.
I didn't even know he was playing in the Manchester Derby. That goes to show.
Someone actually posted a thing I saw. They said they didn't realize that the last couple of games that Phil Foden had missed was due to illness.
Yeah,
because they hadn't seen him in the past month and a bit anyway.
Yeah, like was barely any difference. Gundogan, yeah. I mean, a good player I've always rated, but he's not he isn't filling the void Rodri left. Kyle Walker,
he was a phenomenal player back in his day with Manchester City in the first stint, and then he went to Barcelona,
and then
I don't understand. Yes, you didn't need to bring him back, especially for how old he is.
Yeah, and then Kyle Walker just really looks like this. He looks washed. I mean, the guy.
Walker's done.
He looks finished.
Kyle Walker, again.
He's finished.
I enjoyed him when he was a Spurs player. I didn't really like how he left, but I still respect the skill of the player. Yeah,
maybe it's off to Saudi.
You know what? Yeah, sure. There's
MLS.
That. He's a right back. I don't think he's going to get that MLS paycheck he thinks he's going to get. It's time to start working on his coaching badges.
Yeah, or punditry or whatever he will.
Yeah, or that, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Just not the player he once was, and I don't know, Man City, Pep. It looks like he's running out of ideas too. And he looks more and more like he's going insane in each press conference.
I know. You're kind of worried for this guy as a human.
Yeah, because he's never faced something like this in his career.
Let me just put it this way. I hope there's like a Ted Lasso sports psychologist with Man City right now, and
Remember what Pep
having a
said
chat.
after the Feyenoord after they blew a 3-0 lead to Feyenoord? He said something like almost jokingly, like "I want to harm myself," which was a
Yeah.
huge red flag.
Well, not only that, but then you had the pictures of like him, like he had
The
like
bruise on
bruises
his
and
nose.
scratch marks that he was doing to himself.
Yeah,
You know what? I get it. They are in a spot right now. They're it is a very difficult time. It is probably the most difficult time in his career. Maybe he just doesn't know how to handle it.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
because again, like this is all new to him.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Um, yeah, and now there are rumors that Pep could leave or whatnot. We'll see. I mean, he just did sign a new contract,
Yeah, exactly right.
so we'll see where this goes. And one final thing, I didn't know this. Apparently, the NASL is back, even though the league hasn't existed since 2018.
It's a weird thing. The North American Soccer League hasn't existed for a number of years, but they just hired a brand new commissioner, effective actually back to September 1st, 2024. Victoria Anderson is now the commissioner of a league that hasn't existed in 5 odd years and has no teams. I don't know what that means. I mean, the last time I heard of the NASL is when they were trying to sue MLS and USL over Div 1 designations
Yeah, I
and
heard
all
that too.
that stuff. Um, I got to wonder how this is going to work in the American hierarchy of soccer and whether this is just now do we have to just call the NASL a rebel organization?
Yeah, it feels like I don't know, like a outcast organization. Because you
Yeah.
got MLS, you got USL, and of course other amateur leagues,
So yeah,
semi-pro
like
leagues.
NASL suspended league play in 2018. There is January of this coming year is a jury trial in New York federal court that will finally happen over it's an antitrust lawsuit that they filed against U.S. Soccer and MLS over anti-competitive acts. So maybe this is them trying to like put a face to what that's going to be coming up next month.
Interesting.
Yeah. First saw, I mean, it's been out, but first saw from Ben Steiner. So credit to him.
Yeah, and I totally forgot the NASL about the NASL until yesterday.
I genuinely didn't think it existed. I thought it was done and buried under mounds of turf.
Yeah. So this will be the last episode of this year. We'll take the holidays off. We'll be back in 2025.
Yep.
Merry Christmas to all of you, listeners, watchers, people who read our writing. Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, whatever. Hope the holiday season is good to you. I know it's not the best time for everyone. Just hang in there. Hope you're spending time with friends, family, loved ones, and maybe 2025 will be a better year for you. Thank you once again for all your support this year. We've grown.
We appreciate it.
Hope to grow more in 2025. Not just with the Whitecaps, but Vancouver Rise, Canada Soccer, and all that. We really appreciate it. Hope you spend the next few weeks watching Christmas movies, drinking hot chocolate, and all that. I know I will be. Hope you get some good gifts this year, and maybe you give your loved ones. No, not maybe. Hope you give your loved ones some awesome gifts as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, it's kind of funny you talk about Christmas movies. I think my daughter's had me watch the Home Alone movies and Elf on rerun already.
Yeah, why not? Why not? They're great movies.
Home Alone's pretty good. I've never seen a kid laugh that hard. Reminds me of watching them when I was a kid.
Yeah, I mean, it's a classic.
Oh, absolutely.
You never get tired of it. So yeah,
Until they can introduce her to the real Christmas movie that is Die Hard.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or It's a Wonderful Life. Watched that last week.
Yeah.
It was just amazing. So that'll conclude this week's episode and Terminal City FC for 2024. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. See you in 2025. Peace
Take
out.
care.